Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can install Cloudera Hadoop on a Google Cloud platform. Um, this is my Google Cloud account, and as you can see, there are a bunch of VM instances here. I'm just going to create a new instance in Google Cloud so that I can show you how you can install Cloudera on it. For this demonstration purpose, I think I'll just use one instance as a master node and two other instances as the HDFS nodes. So let's get started. So this is the master instance. So I'm just going to rename this as Cloudera master, and let's keep the same zone. And since this is master, I usually prefer giving it more CPUs and more RAM. So I'm using 8 CPUs and 52 GB memory. You can possibly select this as well, it should work out well. But I guess if you use less RAM, it's not going to work that well, or at least the performance will be slow. So let's use this. And for the operating system, I have tried with the CentOS 7. You could possibly use the other ones here, but I haven't tried those, so let's select that. For the hard drive, I'm going to use 50 GB for now. I think should be enough because this is just for testing, so we don't really need that much space. All right, so and then I'm going to allow HTTPS traffic. Um, this is for the firewall purposes, but um, we'll also have to open other ports on Google Cloud. Usually Google Cloud only allows the 80 and the 443, the HTTP and HTTPS ports. And usually what I do here is I make these instances preemptible. This means they only last 24 hours or less. This is just because this reduces the cost of the VM machine. So as you can see, this has reduced to 75. Originally it was more, I believe. So let's say if I turn it off, uh, you can see it's going to 144, which is too much. So since I'm just testing it out, I'm keeping it on, so I don't need it running 24 hours a day. And for the firewall, I have a network tag called Hadoop, which basically allows all the ports to be accessible from anywhere. So, this is necessary because Cloudera setup uses so many ports, and I just don't want to restrict this VM from accessing any port. Okay, I think we can go ahead and create this VM, and it's going to, oh, there is a question mark here. Oh, it says only allowed 8. So I think there is a limitation that you can't use more than 8 CPUs in Google Cloud setup in one region. Since I am using Central 1 here, and I already have one running on Central 1 zone, so it doesn't allow me to create this. So I'm going to reduce the, I'm going to create maybe another one. I'll just delete this and then use less CPUs. So let's create one more time. Cloudera. By the way, I also tried the Horton one, so but for this demo we are just using the Cloudera one. Maybe I should change the zone to US West 1C, which is not used by other virtual machine. And this time I'm going to select 4 CPUs because I need 2 more virtual machines with at least 2 CPUs. So In fact, I will use this that has more RAM available. As you can see, the cost is $121 right now without the preemptible instance. Let's change the operating system back to CentOS 7 and then hard drive to 50 gigabyte. Okay. Then again, let's allow HTTP, HTTPS, and for the networking, as I said, I'm giving one tag as Hadoop, which allows all of the ports to be open. You can study more about network tags on Google Cloud. It's basically nothing but in VPC network, you have firewall rules, and where you can define the network tag, and you can define what IPs, sorry, not IPs, the ports and IPs are accessible for this virtual machine. So basically, this network tag I have created, which allows all the ports and IPs to be accessible from this instance. So let's go ahead and create. As you can see, this has started and is starting on US West zone, which is not used for any other virtual machine, which is good. So we can have more freedom creating more virtual machine in this zone. So this is master. At the same time, I'm going to create a slave nodes for SDFS. So I'm just going to say Cloudera node 1. Again, better to keep the same zone as master. If you want, you can also change it to something else, but for the demonstration, I'll just use that. The next one here is CPU. So since this is a slave node, I don't need a lot of CPUs. I'm just going to stick with this with 13 gig RAM and 2 CPUs. And then change the operating system to the same CentOS 7 and keep 50 gigabyte hard drive. Allow HTTP, HTTPS, management cost. And then in networking, again, giving network tag as Hadoop. And make this preemptable, which is in the management. So that reduces our cost to $20 a month. Okay, I think it's ready. So let's just create this. So this is the node 1. Master has started because you can see the green check mark here. And let's create another node with same configuration as node 1. And use the same zone. Again, same configuration, 2 CPUs, 13 gig RAM. Change OS to CentOS 7, 50 gig hard drive. Allow HTTP, HTTPS, and then in networking, use network tag as Hadoop, which is allowing all the ports. Again, make this preemptable, which will reduce the cost to $20. There you go. And let's roll this out. As you can see, so now we have master started, node 1 started, and node 2 is just starting up. Okay, so I have master and the 2 nodes running now, so we can go ahead and start installing Cloudera. I have few nodes here from my last installation, which will be useful for easier installation. So first thing we need to do is run this command to update the repository for CentOS. So let's just log into PuTTY using this IP address. Um, so I'm already logged into this right now. So I'm just going to run this command sudo update yum update, and just say yes for the downloading of the repository. Okay, since now we have the updated repository, we can go ahead and download the wget utility. So wget is now available. So the next step is to download the Cloudera Manager installer. Um, okay, so it has downloaded that. So we are just going to make this installer executable, which is done by using the chmod +x command. So now we can go ahead and fire up this Cloudera Manager installer, and just keep in mind we need to use sudo because it needs special privileges to run this installer. As you can see, it's saying SELinux is enabled, so it must be disabled to install and use this product. So SELinux is kind of a firewall built into Linux, but for this installation we need to disable it. So for that, there are some steps on the Cloudera website which I'm going to follow. I'll just quickly show you how you can do that. Basically, as per this guide, all we need to do is in this config file, there is a parameter set as this, as a Linux enforcing. We need to set it as disabled. In this guide, they are saying set it to permissive, but it didn't work for me, so I had to disable it completely. Again, use sudo to edit that file. Once this is done, what you need to do is reboot your master node so it picks up this setting. Okay, so we are back to master node. It's rebooted after disabling SELinux. So let's go ahead and now try to run the Cloudera installer again. So let's just fire up the command. Okay, and it's giving us kind of a installation wizard. Click next. Just accept the license, and this is for the Oracle installation. Yes, so it's going to install some stuff on the master node, which is basically the J2 SDK, which is necessary to run Cloudera Manager. Okay, now installing Cloudera Manager server. Okay, so after a few minutes, the installation is complete, and it's asking us to go to this URL, uh, which is basically the URL for the Cloudera Manager that will take us further for the nodes and the master installation. So let's go ahead and open that. Remember, you need to use the public IP address for the master node because This is running on Google Cloud. So 7180. Yeah, it might take some time to come up because it's setting up, it's still setting up the Cloudera manager server. So just wait for a while and then refresh this. Okay, so we are into Cloudera manager URL now, which will take us further for the installation process. Uh, so just log in using admin as username and admin as password, which is default for Cloudera manager. You can change it later. So let's just log in. So now this is the Cloudera manager setup process, which will take us through various steps. So just accept the license, continue, and there are the different flavors of the Cloudera installation. One is Express, which is basically a free version, Enterprise, and the another one with annual subscription. For this demo, I'm just going to use Cloudera Express. Continue. Okay, and then on this screen, we need to specify the host um, that will be used for this Cloudera setup. Uh, as you know, we have three hosts: one master, node 1, node 2. So we will just use their internal IP addresses. Um, this is just because if you use external IP address, it's fine too, but uh, every time in Google Cloud when you restart a server, it assigns a new external IP address. So just for the installation, we should use the internal IP, which is like a static IP assigned to this host. So first one is 128.0.3, 138.0.3, and 138.0.4. So we can specify them in new lines. Okay, and then just click on search, so it looks for those hosts, and it has found those hosts and they are responding. So just click on continue. Just keep in mind this is like an internal host name on Google Cloud. Okay, so I usually don't make any changes here, just use parcels, keep the default, continue. uh, this is for the Java SDK. Just accept the license and install. This is the single user mode, which I just leave it as default, don't enable. And this is the login information that we need for all the hosts, because when Cloudera does installation, it needs a super user access to all the hosts. Usually Google Cloud provides a common user for all your hosts or all your virtual machines with your whatever Google ID. In this case, this is my Google ID which I'm going to use for logging. And Google also provide a private key file which I have saved it here. So this will be used for logging in. There is no password associated with this. So just use the private key file for logging in. Then continue. So now what it's doing is installing various components on all three hosts, which is necessary. So we'll come back once this finishes. Okay, so this step is now completed. So let's continue. Again, now it's installing some other parcels onto various hosts. So let's wait for this to finish. Okay, so after a while, this step has completed. It has downloaded various parcels and they are installed on 3 hosts. So let's continue. Now it's inspecting host. It has given some information. There are some of the warnings, but I guess you can ignore those. We're just going to click finish. So when you click finish, it's going to ask you like what do you want to install. Um, so you can just go ahead and install core Hadoop like for this demo. Uh, we could also install the other flavors here, but for now let's just stick with the core Hadoop, which will install a minimum number of components so that server doesn't get overloaded. Okay. For the cluster setup, now it has come up with the uh, various values. Usually I don't make any modification here, however it's possible to change this setup. For example, this name node is selected as the, so if you click here, it's selected as the first, the master node. Same way, secondary name node, balancer, all of them are using the first one as the master node, and I don't want to mess with it. I think you can try with the try changing this. It will work out, but I had problems with this before, so I'm not going to touch it. Keep it default. Click on continue. And then these are different repository databases that different component uses. For example, Hive, View, and then OZ. You could also use your own database, but I haven't tried this, so I'll just keep default. Just click on test connection. Since these are like new databases, they will be created later, so it says skipped. So click on continue. Okay, it's just giving us the review of the changes that it's going to do. Click continue. Okay, now it has started installing those selected components, meaning core Hadoop with Yarn, Hive, Hue, and HDFS. So let's wait for this to finish. Okay, so after a few minutes, all of these steps have completed. All the services are installed and started now. So let's just continue and finish. So this should bring us to the Cloudera Manager dashboard, where we can see um, various services that are running, and if there are any issues with any service, you will see this these kind of exclamation marks. So we could possibly look at those and see causing. So this is, I think this is a normal error under replicated blocks, because this is first time it's starting, so it takes a while to replicate all the HDFS blocks. There are some warnings on the configurations. It's complaining about the Java heap size and saying it's running only one data node. I guess those we can ignore for now. Uh, so let's just see if we can access you on this Cloudera installation. So usually you runs on the 8888 port. Okay, so we have the Hue up and running. So let's just log in using the same admin as the username and password. Okay. So this by default in Hue we don't see any tables. So you could try and create a new temporary table. So now it's running running this query and then creating the table. So we have the employee table. Let's insert few records. And see if we can insert these two records. There was something. So looks like it doesn't like the double quote, so I will use the single quote. Now it still has some issues. I think maybe we have to do only one statement at a time. Oh, it still has issues. Okay, let's see. Oh, I think I'm missing values which is needed. Okay, so behind the scene it's running the map reduce job to insert this record. Now we can add the other one. So now both records are inserted. We can just select star from employee table to see those records, and you can see those two. Okay, so it's just a very simple example of how we use Hue. And I think for this demo that's pretty much it. There are some other useful things here, but I guess I will show that in different demo.